Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to BIMA for John Ellis's conversation with Wendy Orville. And we've made a change. Instead of myself, it'll be Jenna Donna, and Jenna will be introduced as our new lead in the education department. I'm Greg Robinson. I'm the Cynthia Sears Endowed Chief Curator. I love saying that, and I love that that's possible for BIMA to have that kind of support. And just wanted to welcome all of you and invite you to a reception afterwards, and Jenna will remind you. It's been a real thrill to work with John on this exhibition. He has been printmaking for quite a while, and the story involves working some with Wendy Orville, and I've been watching his progression. But there's something about this series. I felt it was one more of a complete thought. He had really put quite a bit of time and energy into it, but also drew from real true interests of his that he's been pursuing. I think everybody knows this is the Frank Buxton Auditorium, and John was a founding board member. I guess founding board member is a current title also, and worked with Frank and the founding board on this vision for this auditorium and what it could do. And we talked John into supporting the bistro right outside. I thought it would be just cosmic elegance and beauty forever if John's name was across from Frank's. So we bent his elbow just a little more. He was already a supportive donor. And that's part of today, is to also celebrate that history and what it still brings us. So John started working, and you'll hear more from him, in this film noir series, and I just want to welcome everybody. Before the formal program starts, I'd like to offer a land acknowledgement. I think everybody knows that we are on ancestral Suquamish land. The land acknowledgement that BIMA has is here printed. I won't read the whole thing. What I'd like to add is that for those of you who don't know, the Suquamish tribe, and especially particular tribal members, Robin Saigo, Barbara Lawrence, many others, have been directly involved with us in advising 3 major Indigenous artist exhibitions that we've had, and various programs as well. And we're really indebted to them, not only for helping us, I feel, really understand the complexities of working on Indigenous issues, but for their direct involvement and participating, guest curating, and offering so much program direct support. So I feel like the land acknowledgement for BIMA is very much a living partnership, and we're very grateful for it. So now I'd like to introduce Jenna Donna, who is the new lead with education. If you just stand up, and she'll be working, and John will begin with a presentation first, and then they'll have a conversation together with Wendy Orville. Thank you.
Well, I'm a crier. Greg got me. I forget some of the things that happen. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this, and thanks, Greg and Wendy and Jenna. How do you say it? I love the, Donna. That's great. It's wonderful. Well, let's just move this along. I get the clicker. So, there. All right. So thanks. Today we're going to talk about the crossover between 2 of my art focuses, film and visual art, expressed through my printmaking. I got started printmaking in earnest in 2014. I've done some printmaking and other things over the years. I mean, I have a long history of taking classes here and there and whatever, but I really got into it in 2014 after my wife Anne and I decided to raise money and awareness of the African elephant plight with a show of my drawings in printmaking paired with Anne's words in 2015. So 2014, 2015, do a show. There's nothing like a deadline to clear the mind. So thanks to Wendy for taking me into the ink garden. We had a very successful show in the old lobby of the BPA. I hope you've seen the new one. It's kind of fantastic. That really got me into ink. So besides visual arts, I've always been a bona fide film nut of all kinds, but initially silent comedies, well, really comedy of any kind. And film noir, the imagery, the stories, I just dig it. So our dear departed Frank Buxton and I started a film noir series here at BIMA some years ago, and it's been fun to dive into noir more and more. So it's really become something that I've really, really enjoyed to study and learn. My own artistic focus has been a lifelong passion with theater, especially improv. But that's another story. But I must say that the freedom I get from improv informs my printmaking. So I think Wendy is gonna nudge me about that a little later. So, but for today, let me share with you first some history and imagery of films that informed the show Bone Black Noir. Just so you have it, film noir was, this is a definition that if you look them up, there's like 3 or 4, but they all came from French critics in the 50s. So this is in English though, because I don't do French very well. Film noir was defined by a style of filmmaking characterized by such elements as cynical heroes, stark lighting effects, frequent use of flashbacks, intricate plots, and an underlying existential dread. Right? So the French love that sort of thing. But the genre was prevalent mostly in American crime dramas in the post-World War II era. The term was, as I said, coined by the French critics. So let's go way back. We're going back into the Dark Ages now, before the light had sheltered. I think it's in the second day in the Bible. Oh, here we go. All right. Thank you, Cole. All right. So going way back, this is an image from The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920. It was directed by Robert Vine, and it's acknowledged as kind of the starting point of German expressionism in film. The sets were by Herman Warm, who came from a theater background, and he did many other films, including Nosferatu, which is another great film. The use of stark lighting, darkness, with only the faces or just light and dark, really speaks noir. But this is, not considered noir. It's more horror, but it has those thoughts. There we go. This looks noirish, doesn't it? This is The Hands of Orlok from 1924. So, this kind of imagery really started early. Also directed by Vine. Same team made the film as did Cabinet of Caligari. But I love this. They're taking their stagecraft and their play of light and shadow into a more real world. It's still a set, but it's much more realistic than Caligari. This looks noirish, but this is again from a silent German film. It's Pandora's Box by G.W. Pabst. This film was all mood, light, betrayal, spurred lovers, and that we really mark those essential elements as film noir. But look at the light. There's almost no face, but you can see the story. This knocked me out. This is from Pandora. There's a hole in the denouement of the film. There's a staircase that leads up, and that's Lulu on the stairs with, I hate to say, well, you should watch it. I'm not going to tell you more, but not a good person. But this film was all mood and light, so you can see that. And I did an image off of this that we'll talk more as we get to the imagery. And this is the lovely Louise Brooks as Lulu in Pandora's Box. This is her tempting someone, and then she pulls a gun, so she stops the tempting. And then we're going to go all the way into the sound era, not much further, but this is M. This is this film, an amazing film. For me, this is the real beginning of noir. This was created by Fritz Lang, who made some of the best truly film noir post-war films, including Big Heat. And he made the wildest Western with Marlene Dietrich called Rancho Notorious, if you ever get a chance. It's terrific. In this shot, we have Peter Lorre, who is the villain of the movie. And again, if you haven't seen it, see it. It's one of the first films we showed in the Film Noir series way back when we started. Peter Lorre, you're probably familiar with him as a character actor in Hollywood. But this is him as the villain. He's another one of the refugees from Nazi Germany. And his confessional scene, which starts here, and he's being rounded up by the gangsters of Berlin because the police are coming down on them to find him. So they do the work of the policeman and capture him. That's why he has that, somebody with chalk put the M on his back for murderer. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me see, did I get it? Yes. Yes, this isn't, nope. Sorry, back. This is another shot from M. The director Fritz Lang brought with him from the silent eras years of experience in telling a story without words. This is why I think I was attracted to the film noir form and in a certain extent to any filmmakers who crossed over from silence, like Hitchcock and John Ford, William Wellman, among many others. They made that transition very successfully, and one of the ways they did it is by keeping what they remembered about silent film and telling a story with image and doing it strong imagery without just blah, 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 blah. So I love what they were able to do when they brought that to, and John Ford was famous for like going through the script and cutting out dialogue because he said, we got the story, we have the show, we have the story here with imagery, we don't need all this talking. But Fritz Lang, also another refugee from Nazi Germany, made around this time one of the best known German expressionist / silent fiction films called Metropolis. And it was just being shown at Benaroya with a live score this week. So I jumped ahead here, but here's a still from Maltese Falcon, which is considered noir, by John Huston from 1941. And we have Peter Lorre 10 years later. So the connection you can see from the German expressionism and that sense of the play of light and shadow, both in visual and in story, is intact. Now, I threw this one in because it's from one of my favorite noirs, Sunset Boulevard from 1950. Now, and this is another one we had at the festival this year or last year, I can't remember. But in this frame, we have Erich von Stroheim, who was not a refugee from Nazi Germany, but he was German. He didn't have that story. He came here and worked in the silent era. But in this shot, he's playing Max the butler to Norma Desmond, played by Gloria Steinem. Not Gloria Steinem. I didn't know you knew she was that old, but anyway. No, Gloria Swanson. Sorry. But what's interesting is when they shot this film, Billy Wilder, another refugee from Nazi Germany, the film they're showing is a film called Queen Kelly that was Stroheim's last film he made because Gloria Swanson fired him off the film. And so now you have him as a character actor playing a butler to her in the movie while they're watching the movie he was fired off of. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. I mean, this is just great, you know. So Billy Wilder loved to put these kind of things together. In the movie, he has all these Buster Keaton and Henry Wohlhart and all these guys from silent era playing cards. So there's a lot of crossover. Okay, the first print I did for the series was based on this behind-the-scenes shot of Orson Welles in The Third Man. So I was looking at various film noir imagery. I have a lot of books. Many were from Frank's collection. Eddie Muller is he's on Turner Classic Movies in the Film Noir series. And he there's so many great images that you can see from this, but this one really attracted me, this back. And I just love the stark white face of Wells, just boom, his face against all those grays and blacks. But that was just the one. Then this one I saw, and this really kicked off the series. This is like when we're at the ink garden, Wendy's going like, I think you got something going here, because I pulled all these images of film noir and I was just kind of going through them, and this is the second one I did. And I just love the silhouette of both these characters. I mean, there you see it. There's tension and a story within the fog. You can't see it in this photograph, but there's a wheelbarrow over here, deep in the shadow. What the hell does a wheelbarrow mean? Absolutely nothing, but it attracts the eye when you're making the print. Because it should be something. But it's a story told without words, and it seems like a good subject to make a print. And I haven't made a print of this yet, but I just love this image from the film noir. I mean, it's got the headlights, the gray road, the black silhouette, the road. You get a sense of energy and mystery. And what does it mean? Is she going to get run over? I mean, there's a lot of story just in this still. So this is Kiss Me Deadly, and like a lot of the noirs, they were made for very little money. That was one of the benefits of this style of film, is you turn the lights out and just put a pin spot on an actor or an actress. You don't have to build a set. So film noir was considered kind of like, a lot of them were B movies. They weren't like considered, they weren't considered the grand movies. They're made from different smaller studios, or Warner Brothers made a lot of them. But this is a Mickey Spillane, Mike Hammer book, directed by tough guy Robert Aldrich. So a lot of slugging going on in this movie. But they did it all with light and dark in the streets, and you just don't need a lot of money. But boy, what images they could create. Now, I put this in because this movie's great, and Jimmy Cagney is I love Jimmy Cagney. It's the only noir film he made, but this is also Fritz Lang, the guy who made M and Metropolis and The Big Heat. So he was in this world a lot. And I don't know how many have seen The White Heat. You know what Jimmy says right now? What does he say? Lynn, you're shaking your head. Yeah, top of the world, Ma. Yeah, I'm top of the world, Ma. Look at me, top of the world. Talk about existential dread. Well, so if you've seen the show, you know I did this image. This is, it's such a fun image, I had to do it. You can tell who these are? Mm-hmm. Tells the story right away. Hitchcock and Cary Grant. And I love how it speaks to that. And Hitchcock did great film noir. I mean, he was a master at it, and he did a lot of great silence. He brought his work from the silent era. Oh, so what's the future? Film noir. What the hell am I going to do with images like this? It's going to be different than bone black noir, but there's a lot of things I'm going to have to be working on in the future. But let's go to some of my work now. Here's Wendy. Now, if you look back, you remember the stairway with Lulu on the stair with that bad guy? So this was taken from that imagery. So when I work, I oftentimes will take an image, then I'll draw it. Sometimes I'll take the image and draw it out for myself first, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then come into the studio and then kind of go for it. So this one was one of my favorite images, the strength of the stairs and the shadow and the light, but it was problematic. It had an image on the right side of the image that wasn't working. And so I was like befuddled by that. And then in came Wendy on her white horse. And she showed me how to take the print, tear it down, though she made me tear it, right? So, and it became a much stronger print, and it's in the show. So these are the things. I can't thank Wendy enough for saving this print. Oh, we did it together, but she really, anyway. So this is the second print. This is the big combo that I did. So I love the story. In improv, we do a lot of things where we just start with, we come on stage and you honestly don't know what you're going to say. You have no idea, but you get a spark or maybe a small suggestion from the audience. But I could make many scenes out of just this image. There's a lot of story being told. Her in the strong position, him looking at her, and there's that wheelbarrow. So, but it tells. I think it tells a wonderful story, and that's what really attracted to me with printmaking in this story, the film noir, because there's so much of this strong images. It just spoke to printmaking. So, to me, there they are. So, yeah, we brought in a little color from this. What's that called? The blue, the gray? What is it? Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray. So we brought in another panel for that. So that's the only one that got a little bit of that color in it. And this is my version of The Third Man, which was the first one I did of the series. So let's see. All right, we'll go to this. So here's a good example of working with the plate. Greg asked me to put the monotype print and then the ghost of that. So when you're working with ink, you're working with a plexiglass plate, and you're putting ink and you're removing ink at the same time, trying to bring your image and using various tools for texture. And there's a shot of me later with one of the tools. But I had this image, and I just loved the cat and the dark and the dark image of the man in light. So I feel like they're all on this one plane. They're all together. So the story speaks to them being in the plate. But I did a ghost, and it felt like the cat. So in this one, I felt like they're together. And then when I did the ghost, there, he's ahead of them. The cat is now observing him. So just by making subtle changes to the plate, I keep the strong, the post very strong with the cat, and then let the cat dominate the. Does that make sense? Okay. Fun. It's very fun. What's next? Oh, yeah. So, so leading into this series, my print work has been a bit more organic. I'd take some imagery. I've been working. I forgot so many damn prints. If anybody wants some, just come over to the house. We'll make a deal. Anyway, I'd take some imagery, or just come into the studio, and as I do with improv, I would just start working the plate, seeing what was coming. And that's common with a lot of print. You know, you're working the ink, and it's like this mystery unfolding, because the ink is there, and it's like I'm not comparing myself with Michelangelo at all, but he talked about, you know, David was inside the marble, and he just had to get the crap off of it so you could see it. So, did I say crap? I meant marble, other marble. Anyway. So this print was after print by Nathaniel Wyeth, and I've got the book here if anybody wants to see the original. But I just loved the image, and I wanted to see if I could really evoke that image in monoprint. And it was a fun exercise. Feels very New England, doesn't it? Anybody? Yeah. That's a lobster pot there. And I looked at it, and then I pulled up the image again as I'm putting together this, and I edited it. So I didn't like the way the oars were perched across the boat, so I put them out the back. You know, I mean, it's not completely true to Mr. Wyeth. Sorry, but I love to see what you can do with this print, and what you can find for your own story. All right. So I have a tendency to go towards humor, and this print came out of the ink when I was doing Falstaff, and Merry Wives of Windsor at Bloedel. So it just pulls out of the ink. And I love to do faces, and I love to do faces. I did another series that we were talking about earlier about a very different, not whimsical, but stories. I had a show at BAC about these women who were concentration camp guards, and there was photographs of them, and it was the banal face of cruelty, and it was fascinating to me, and I did a series of their faces. So I prefer, as I finish that, I prefer to do something funny. So this is Safe Embrace. This is the title card for the elephant show. And I really started, when I was doing the elephants, I just loved playing in the ink. And the elephants would come out of this ink in these great circular motions, just free motions to create the texture of the skin of the elephant. And it was just a delight to do it, just to pull it out and play with it. Okay. This is what I did most of my life because I had a full job in shipping, and I traveled all over the world doing various things. But what's common in a lot of places is placemats. So I would do a lot of art in restaurants and things, and I remember one time I was gone for a long time, but when I came back, I'd be working have this one restaurant, and then I came back after I was gone for like 3 weeks, 3 months, and the guy in the restaurant goes, "Where you been?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, we missed you." And I said, "What?" And he says, "Well, your art." And he says, "Come here." He brought me back into the restaurant, in the rest station. All my work was up all over the place. So that was fun. So I like to do fast, quick, steady, and drawing is I love the feel of it and what happens. So this is Winslow Way, Dogs on Parade. I need to do more. Here I am. Wendy caught me working on the first print of the series. How special you did that. That's great. I know. And that's the real me. So that's our slides. Thank you. I think we're going to start our conversation. Thank you. Didn't go too.
Hi, everyone. So maybe we could start by telling us how you two came to know each other as artists and how your mentoring relationship began and evolved and the importance of that.
You start, John.
Oysters. Cynthia, you'll love this story. Billy Collins was doing a show at the Ben Arroyo, right? Mm-hmm. And had some tickets to it, and Christina Alpaca, who was on the board at BIMA, one of the early board members, said, she says, "Oh, I love him, and I have some friends who love him too. Let's all go to see Billy Collins do his poetry." And so we all got together afterwards, and we all went out to what was it called? The Brooklyn Cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is gone, but we had clocks of oysters. So I always remember, Billy would go like, "Okay, let's have another clock of oysters over here, another dozen." So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful time. One of my first impressions of you, John, was at an event at BIMA before the building opened, and the staff invited the public in to draw on the unfinished walls, and then they were drywalled over and so on. So this is up in the Pfefferman Gallery, the second floor, and everybody got crayons and I don't know what materials we had, something that you could cover
Chalk,
over,
yeah.
chalk.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big like draw out of my head person, so I'm doing something kind of timid. And I look over, and John has covered walls with these characters, just confident. And I was like, who is this person? This man draws incredibly well, and then tells stories. And I was intrigued. And I think that might have even been before we actually met.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So I love the full circle. This was, maybe 11 and a half years ago.
Yes,
And
about
then, and now there you are showing solo show.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, BIMA was an amazing experience for us when we got started here. I mean, I was so happy to see how it's come out and how people have embraced BIMA and the people who run it and make it so amazing. It's just absolutely fabulous, and welcome aboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak to the mentoring and how that came to be and how that evolved?
Yeah. So, like I said, I had met Wendy. We talked about art and printmaking while we're eating oysters and drinking a nice Sauvignon Blanc. And then I don't know if you said, I think you might have said, well, you should come and, you should come. That was the Fridays, right? So
Yeah, every Friday.
yeah. All those who love those Fridays, raise your hand.
Yeah, there's quite a few printmakers here.
Yeah. And so she invited me to come, and it just, as it turned out, I had committed to doing the show. We'd booked a date in June of 2015 to do it, and we talked to the David Sheldrake Trust about all the proceeds, anything from the artwork would go to them. And so I was busy drawing and printing at the same time, and I did first day in the studio, I did Mahamaya, which was this whole big elephant, and it just kind of, we just kept working it. It's that deadline. It really helps.
Yeah. And I think the drawings that you were doing were so loose and expressive, and it felt like such a natural, for you to translate into monotype.
Yeah.
And so it was really, one of the things I love about working with other artists is I get to be involved in their creative process, different from my own, and just how exciting it is to see and hear about an idea and then watch really creative people translate that idea into this medium.
And none of us became miniature Wendy's.
No.
Every one of us, the people here and others, you have your own style and your own vision, and what Wendy does as a mentor is help you expand that and open it up and find the techniques and the tools to become a better printmaker. And she's an amazing teacher.
Thank you. It's so much trial and error. It's really, because I was never trained as a printmaker. I was trained as a painter, but I kind of developed my own techniques. And so it feels really important that people try things and, see what works, see what doesn't work, just experiment. And I think there's a really playful but very focused time in the studio. And John, of course, is that combination, this kind of amazing combination. You would come in with some idea, and then you were so open to seeing where it went and just following that. And so it was, I loved your influence really on the group because it was always exciting. Yeah, and one of the things that struck me too was you can handle pressure. You have amazing stamina. So you would come in, print all day, and then go perform Shakespeare. Like literally that night. It was the most incredible thing. And all of us would be like, we're gonna have wine and stop now. And you would like head off to do, like you're gonna be the MC at the BPA, right? Because you double book.
I got my suit in the car.
Yeah. So.
Double booking is good. It's triple booking that really screws me up. And I've done that too.
Yeah. So John, I'm curious. You, I think I've heard from a number of people that they were surprised by the show, that you were so accomplished as an artist, because you are more known or have been more known for, your improv and your acting and business and these different things, emceeing. So I'd love to hear more about your background in art. Did you always do it? Did you get trained in it? were you self-taught?
Yeah, I was always drawing. I was always drawing various, I was always drawing, doodling, drawing, always drawing, and every chance I got, I would draw. And then when I got into high school and in college, I was trying to take classes that would get me a job, but I was also taking art. And then each time I did that, the art teacher would go like, "You're really good at this. You should really focus on this." And then I'd go and do something in the performing arts, and my teachers the directors would all say, "You should really focus on this. You're really good at this." And then I was also doing photography, and they said, "You should just focus." So being a stupid kid, I was like, "I don't know what to do." So I did a variety of things. I've driven school buses. I've done all sorts of things to keep myself going. But I got into ocean transportation and shipping as a summer job. My family is third generation ocean business, not related to anything I did, but I was kind of on the waterfront since I was driving to ships without a driver's license from Portland to Astoria and down to the coast when I was 15, just because somebody needed to do it. So those are the days. So I was always kind of working, and I was doing a lot of different things, but always kind of trying to fit in all this art of various forms, performing art and art, like I told the story about the placemats in the restaurant. And I always remember, in the 90s, I moved, 89, moved to Bainbridge, had a child, and then a number of years later, 93, 94, I met this guy, Frank Buxton. And we started the Edge Improv at that time. And I'd be timing my trips to Asia so I could get back in time to do the shows. So I'd talk to my customers all the time, and then Frank just loved it when I was talking to Cheeto in the Philippines. He goes, "Oh, is that Cheeto again?" Tell him we're rehearsing. But so I've lived a very multiple life, I guess, But I always made sure that I was doing art. And improv was great for that.
So this connection, I think there's a really strong connection between improv and monotype and printmaking. Can you speak to that?
It's so fun to just start working the ink and just allowing yourself not to judge before you start pulling. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's just like letting it come. In improv, you literally don't know what the next line is. You don't know what the next. You just go with it. And working in monoprint, there's a lot of that expression that you really don't have any control over. So it's just this wonderful exploration of what's next to come. There's a thing about in improv, what's next? What happens next? And that's a lot of printmaking. It's just what happens next. And then you take the print and you've got it all done in the plate, and you go through the printing cycle, and that's another surprise, because the pressure of the plate, the ink, what you've done, all the work, it's going to change. It's going to be reversed of what you're working to. So all that is just a big surprise, like improv. You don't know really what to expect, and you better damn well be prepared for that. And not take it. Don't be crushed by what happens. You can always tear the print in half. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's not an audience though so much with art making.
No. No.
And until you're ready.
Until you're ready. Yeah. Right.
And speaking of it, so you're known for the comedy and the improv, and you like making people laugh.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? Humor. Yeah.
And so film noir, it's known as cynicism, pessimism, negativity. How do you, what does it bring up for you when you're working on these film noir prints, and what do you imagine it brings to the viewers?
Yeah, I think we all feel better about our own lives when you watch all these people slugging it out. I just, the imagery just kills me in this story. I think part of the thing about film noir is really good film noir does have humor in it. It's not always completely dark, because, you know, good, serious moments have to be broken. You can't just have this, I mean, we're not Russian, so you just can't have this long, dark, you know, like what's the old story? The Russian heart must weep and cry, but, well, you know, you could laugh. But you just can't, we need to find humor in all things. I really think that's essential for the human spirit. And film noir has great moments of that. Niagara, I don't know if people saw Niagara when we had it in the last session. There was great comedy in that. It was serious and people were being terrible, but there was moments of humor in it. So I look for that, but what really attracts to me, because I did a lot of black and white photography as well and I just love those black and white imagery. And I mean, yes, film noir is in color as well. Some great film noir is in color, but for me, and in printmaking, it's those tones and the story. I think for me, storytelling is what it is. Yeah. It's what those stories are. And, you know, it's the old adage is there's only 5 stories, and it's just a matter of how you tell them, you know. And that's film noir. There's only so many ways you can slug a guy in an alleyway, but, you know, but you do, and it makes it great. So there.
I think of when you were showing the film noir images from the movies, I was struck by the abstraction of them.
Yeah.
And the light, and then what was not shown. Mm-hmm. So this kind of the mystery of that, and it seems so perfect for subtractive printmaking,
yeah.
where you're removing the light and revealing the forms, and you know, it just seems really daring and unconventional compositions from those movies, actually.
Yeah, well, the big combo, I started with almost a completely black plate. I inked almost the entire plate, and I pulled away and used textures for the various features in the print. So it's that, as you say, reduction, just continually working the plate until you're satisfied, and then you add a little ink to fix where you went a little too far. But you know, it's that sense of there's a playfulness of what you're doing and the reveal. But it's like that, you're finding these images that are just coming out of the ink. It's terrific.
Do you want to talk about some of the materials you use?
Anything that's around. I love
Tarlatan?
Tarlington. The fabric to work the plate. I'm a huge fan of especially in this show, of Q-tips with hard points. Not the soft ones, but the makeup ones.
The expensive ones.
The expensive ones.
I pull out my stash when John
Yeah,
comes.
she's like, okay, hair, you know. So yeah, I mean, because I do a lot of drawing. I'm doing sorry, I have to use my left hand to do this because I'm left-handed. But I'm doing a lot of work on the plate, which is very akin to drawing. So, but it's, you know, it's hard to draw in ink and be successful. So you also have to know about how much ink is on the plate and what you're getting from it and how it's going to print. So, you know.
Is the image above you, is that a one pass through the press, or is
Yeah.
it 2?
One pass.
One, okay.
Yeah, I love playing with, because you can do multiple plates. Like Hitchcock and Grant is the only one I use 2 plates. With the Payne's Gray, I created another plate for that as a background, but that was a separate plate. But the rest of them were done just pulling and reducting of the ink on one plate.
And you often do 2 or 3 images in a day.
Yeah. I guess I work fast.
You work fast.
Yeah. And I love the energy around it. So, yeah, I'm oftentimes when finish a day at the studio, I always feel like a kid coming back from school. I got my work and, holding my paper and, Mom, come through the door. No, but I come back with a lot of images in a day. So, yeah, I have a tendency to work fast. Like my drawing is really fast. So, it is kind of just, I'm not, help, I don't know where he's going.
No, you're intentional.
Yeah.
Did making these monotypes of these film noir environments, did it influence how you thought about the movies?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it was interesting to have like this one. The big combo, it's the story around the film. I kind of got into these characters and their relationship with each other. And also when you're doing a print, you can change the relationship from the original image. I didn't in this case, but like I showed you the two prints back and forth, you can really modify the image and learn more about the characters. And also for me, like in improv, we're always working on stories and what the story can or cannot be. It can change. And that's the same thing with the print because it'll tell a different story.
Yeah, the same character could end up being really different people, actually.
Yep.
You would
Yeah.
let it go to a different personality.
Right, yeah.
Should we open up to some questions from the audience?
I was the photo of the man with the cat.
Yeah,
You did the ghost one.
yeah.
The first one, it looked to me like it looked like that was his back, but when you did the ghost, it looked like it was his face, like he was coming towards
Oh,
you.
interesting, yeah. See, you see what you see. Yeah. I love it, yeah.
As long as we're on that print,
Yes.
was that cat in the movie?
So that cat was it was in a still, and it was in not a film noir image. I'm here to admit. That image just was in a series of film noir, like film noirs. I was going through various sources, and I just saw this image. It just struck me as a great image that would speak evocative of film noir. So
That
some,
was a great idea.
yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, so it was, I just saw it and I thought, oh, this is just, I love this. And I kind of like the idea of having a cat in one of these things, so, or an animal. I love it. I love to do animals and do, a lot of birds and things like that. So it was just fun to actually have an image that felt very noirish, but also had meow. So, yeah.
I thought I saw someone else toward the back. Yes.
I just was wondering where you work out of. There's a studio image of you working, but is that like on Bainbridge? Is it at Wendy's or?
That was in the Ink Garden, yeah.
Yeah, it's my studio on
Yeah,
Bainbridge.
yeah.
In Eagledale.
Yeah, studio. But some of these images were done at the barn. So if you don't know, I'm sure this crowd knows, but we have a fabulous print studio and book art studio at the barn, and it's incredibly well equipped and it's just a great place to work. And you can play your own music; nobody argues. It's really great.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, when you're alone,
If you're wearing earbuds.
wearing earbuds. Yeah. But it's a fabulous facility. We have this gift on the island of the barn, and that studio is wonderful. So
And it's not used as much as it
No.
could be. It's really an amazing space.
yeah, I've been in there sometime in the night. In the night, and you just have to know after 10, if you go outside, you can't get back in. So don't leave your keys.
John, what are you gonna do next? Like, do you have ideas about next directions for
I
monotype?
kind of have been working on some thoughts around it, but I've gone back and forth on a few things. Just I thought I'd do things like marshlands with stark images of trees.
Well, I'm on to forests now.
Oh, forests! I want to do forests. I'm kind of toying with it, trying to figure some things out. I got totally sideways with this series because I was doing this series. We did this. We mounted the show, and we also opened the BPA like at the same time, and so. And then we had another film noir series of films and a silent film festival series. So I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about other things in prints, but it was a very, very busy period of my life. So, and I turned 70, so you know, a lot of things going on. So,
Good.
yeah.
Are you planning on trying some color prints?
I have. I should have put one in the collection. I have. I've done. You saw the one, the elephant that was in color, and I've done a lot of exotic bird life in colors, and I enjoyed that. But again, I really enjoyed trying to do it on one plate. I did one of Ganesh, a big red Ganesh in the elephant series, which was really fun, and you know. But it's really interesting to working multiple colors on one plate. It's a challenge, but I'd like to do more. Anyway, a lot of different things that I'd like to try, but I haven't landed on anything yet. So, yeah, it's a good question. I need to think about it. Yes, Sandy.
I was curious about the placemat art, and you would just do that and leave it behind, like all over the world?
Yes, I would just leave it. That was the only time I knew that somebody was looking at it. Was that one time, but I would just.
You didn't really want to take that with you as kind of a memory of a trip or a place? Or...
I didn't. I just loved the, you know, wait a minute, I got to go like this. I just loved the moment of the drawing and that, and if it was a gift to somebody, it was great. And sometimes I saw them going, what the hell, you know, but.
Busboy just put it in the trash.
Or sometimes put it in the trash, and you have to accept that,
Yeah.
right? You have to just accept that it's gone. So it's a momentary thing, and I did a lot of that before we had cameras in our pocket. So I just walk away, and then my wife Ann said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm leaving." No, you're not. We're taking this with us, you know. So now I have these rolls and rolls of since I met Ann of various placemat art that I've been keeping. So
It's a good book. You could turn it into
yeah.
one. Yeah.
An exhibition. Greg, you ready?
The Pfefferman. But I think that's a good example of you being both very process-oriented and able to kind of go after a deadline, you know, and go after a result, like hold both of those things at the same time. Yeah.
It's been fun. Yes.
I have enjoyed this so much, I can't tell you. My question is there a subject matter, and this is just print, that makes you nervous, that you're kind of afraid to go toward?
No. I don't think so. I at this moment, I don't think anything, subject matter.
Kind of like you're resistant to.
Yeah. I don't think so. I can't think of anything that I would restrain myself from, except in polite society. It's a good question, and I'm not sure if there's anything that I wouldn't try in subject matter, but I'll get back to you. I'm thinking, but I'd love to try just about any kind of subject matter. I'll tell you one thing I can't do. I've tried, and I absolutely can't do it. I fail, and there's some people here who do it beautifully, is an abstract form. I have started in the studio and other times to try and do an abstract form, and then I'm partway through that and go, oh, there's an eye.
Yeah.
And I start working, and oh look, there's well he's holding a, you know, and so I'm
You're
just
a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
Goes right back to the narrative. It's all
Yeah.
back to the improv and the theater and telling a story. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is abstract, but not on purpose. Thanks for asking. Yes.
So I was kind of looking at the last, remind me the name of the last slide.
Oh, the big combo, this one?
Yeah, the big
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
So, I kind of, when you put it up, I kind of wished I still had the photo in front of me, because I might just be remembering it wrong, but it seemed to me that there was more, oh, now you're gonna prove me wrong, okay.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
You can, it happens all the time.
There we go. Wait, you just went, there, right there.
That's my image.
Yeah.
That's the print.
So
And you want the
it was seeming
photograph?
to- What's that?
You want the actual photograph? Or?
I can just ask you.
Yeah, okay.
So it seemed to me that there was more like difference between the original photo and what you printed. Like my impression was that the woman had changed a lot, and I was just wondering. My impression was I looked at this. Oh, there's some Dorothy in there now.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if
Toto
there was
too?
anything intentional going on, or
So when you're taking an image, it's like I mentioned about the, I think let's see if it's here. No, other way. This is fun, upside down and backwards. It's like Ginger Rogers. So like I said, I tried to really kind of stick to the source on this one, the Nathaniel Wyeth. But I couldn't help myself. I didn't like the way he had the oars. And so there's certain things, and the clouds, like I loved experimenting with these cloud forms and then the reflection of the clouds in the water. It wasn't exactly what Nathaniel Wyeth did in 1934 or whatever, but I just play with the imagery. So same thing with the photographs. I'm using them to tell a story, but I'm absolutely, completely willing to throw out something if I don't like it, like my story, not, they just made that film, all that time ago, and I really appreciate what they gave me, but I'm going to play with it.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
One last question?
Have you ever thought about, since you like tragedy and darkness with humor, doing a series about certain operas?
Of operas. I've never stayed awake through an entire opera, so
Too much color.
I remember a friend of mine took me to the Metropolitan Opera in New York, and I was so excited. I thought, this is great. And it's cab pack. It's two short operas. I thought, 2 short operas, I can do this. So it's a great idea, Meg. I would love to do it. Why don't you do it? You never know. Yeah.
Well, wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you, Jenna.
And everybody's welcome to join the reception in the bistro and see John's work in the bistro and then up the gallery hall just next to the auditorium here.
And I'll put the N.C. Wyeth original here so you can, if you want to look at it, you can see it.
All right.
Thank you.